I know Hillary Clinton's already done that as part of the Obama administration. I expect Donald Trump will not, well, let's pick another scandal here from Hillary Clinton. I mean, take your pick. Will not lie about being under sniper fire when traveling overseas. I know Hillary Clinton's already done that. It's proven to me that she's a liar. You could say that all politicians are liars, but how many of them are documented liars with an FBI file that says so? Donald Trump may shade the truth from me, but at least I know he doesn't have a criminal past. That's good enough for me. If we're talking about bad or worse, that's good enough for me to give me the vote. The Supreme Court being not as bad as Hillary, that pretty much cinches it for me. I'll be going with Donald Trump. And I'll be doing it knowing that his wife may have lifted a few lines from Michelle Obama's speech. We're talking about much ado about nothing. I don't understand the liberal media and the way this whole situation with Melania Trump has been covered. About lifting some lines from Michelle Obama's speech at a prior convention of her party. Does it look bad? Okay. Are you voting for Melania Trump? No. I mean, come on. She's not even on the ballot. She's not anything. She's supporting her husband. And if she was inspired by Michelle Obama and wanted to include a similar message, okay. Again, not a deal breaker for me, but you would think that an atom bomb had gone off at this convention that had sealed the fate of Donald Trump by his wife, who is not an elected official, who's never spoken politically in public and on a stage as big as the RNC, from doing something that in the grand scheme of things is absolutely so minimal politically. Come on now. Oh, I see the chat room's filling in the other scandals for me from Hillary Clinton. Thank you very much to Dano for doing that in the chat room. Whitewater, Watergate, cattle futures, FBI files, travel office billing files. The list goes on and on and on. Donald Trump went bankrupt a couple of times. There's your comparison. The other thing that gets me about Donald Trump and why I feel like I can get behind him is that whether you like Donald Trump or not, he has acted in the best interest of his business partners and his business entity. He's kept people employed as best as he could. That's an executive making executive decisions and being responsible for the people that he must be responsible to. He worked with both sides of the aisle because he had interests that he had to maintain. I can respect that, and as long as he does the same thing for me as the commander-in-chief and the chief executive of this country, looking out for the country's best interest, I'm all about that. I think that's the mark of a good executive, not a bad executive. Hillary Clinton has proven that she will go into business for herself before she goes into business for the nation. And you want to talk about proof of that? Think about the Clinton Foundation. Think about the rhetoric that Hillary Clinton has been giving women and the LGBT community about being so supportive of them and their rights, while taking millions of dollars into her foundation from nations that stone women, that kill people in the homosexual community. And she's lined her foundation's pockets. By the way, you want to talk about shadiness and dark money, the Clinton Foundation, those millions of dollars of outside influence, there's proof positive right there that she's not trustworthy and not putting America first. Come on, folks. It's time to get on board. It's time to line up behind Donald Trump, because the alternative is a known liar, a known security threat, who puts her own interests first before the nation's interests. I'm about to get ready to play our interview with Jason Beardsley, who spoke at the RNC this week. But before I do that, I want to thank everybody again for tuning in to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. I'm Gene Beardsley. Russ Gallo, my normal co-host, is at his annual drill in Fort Drum, I believe it is, in the People's Republic of New York. We want to wish him all the best. First Sergeant Gallo doing his duty for our nation. We love you. We miss you. We can't wait to get you back, because the show ain't the same without you, pal. But I want to thank everybody for listening to at least half of Behind Enemy Lines Radio. I'm Gene Beardsley. And while I got you listening, check us out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. If you missed any part of this live broadcast on Spreaker, Tuesdays at 10 p.m., you can always check us out on one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WJHC 107.5 FM on the Florida-Georgia line, Red Nation Rising Radio. Check us out there on both the Liberty and Justice channels. K98 Talk, High Plains Talk Radio, and Sackheads Media, and the Internet's conservative radio network, ICRN. And believe it or not, folks, we got even more ways for you to tune in to us. If you missed any of those rebroadcasts, you can get us on demand anytime you want by checking us out at iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbay, Player FM, iHeartRadio. You can discover us on Google Play Music, and we are back on SoundCloud, folks. You can check us out there. Just do a search for Behind Enemy Lines Radio on SoundCloud. Great to be back on that platform as well. But for now, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, you're going to hear a little bit of Jason Beardsley's speech from the RNC, and then we'll get right into our interview with the CEO of the Underground Movement, combat veteran, expert in military intelligence and diplomacy security, Jason Beardsley. And after that, we'll talk a little bit more about the convention and a few extra thoughts as well. Gene Baradelli, Behind Enemy Lines. I'll be back right after these brief words. If you're a long-time listener of the show, or maybe this is your first time listening, you can probably tell that me and the gang here, we like to have our share of fun, whether it's on or off the air. We talk about 2-drink minimum radio and no medication Wednesdays or whatever day it may be. That's why when we found the people at Less Government, More Fun, we knew it was a match made in heaven with this show. Folks, we live in a time where government is out of hand. Our founding fathers did not intend government to be all-consuming in all parts of our lives. That's why we are telling you to go to lessgovmorefun.com, check out the website, check out the swag. What the people want is less government, more fun. Pass it on, make it happen.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines Radio is all about being right. No, seriously, it is. If you ever listen to Russ Gallo or me go back and forth on some issue, we always want to make sure that we remember who said what and when we said it. That's why we go to goonrecord.com. It's a brand new social media website. Challenge people on what they believe, whether it's in politics, sports, entertainment, finance, whatever. There's a category for you at goonrecord.com. Check it out right now. Tell us, what do you stand for? It's time for you to go on record.
Hi, this is Sheriff Sam Page of Rockingham County, North Carolina, and you're listening to Red Nation Rising Radio.
Behind Enemy Lines. Gene Baradelli, back behind enemy lines. Before we welcome our guest to the show, let me give you a quick sample of what he said at the RNC this week.
As an elite soldier, I operated at times as the only American in the midst of our enemies. Still, no matter how dangerous the mission, I never lost my conviction that America was the world's best hope for good. This same conviction can sustain the nation when we find ourselves in peril. And this is such a time. From 9/11 to Russian aggression to a belligerent China into the evil of the Islamic State, we face unparalleled threats. But we stand here tonight on the shoulders of giants and legends who gave us this American Republic. And when we think of those who pioneered this country with courage and honor through a bloody revolution, and those who gave their lives for the cause of freedom around the world, today, at this crucial point in our history, Can we summon the spirit that forged our nation and bound us together under principles of liberty and justice for all?
Joining me on the line right now, it's a pleasure to welcome back to the show our good friend. Last time we spoke to him was with Concerned Veterans for America. Now it's all about Jason Beardsley. Sir, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on today.
Oh, listen, it's all a pleasure to have you on. It's good to see you've gone big time, man. I saw you speaking at the RNC this week. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I found myself on stage in front of a podium with a microphone. I thought, well, let's go ahead and address the nation. No, it was a tremendous honor, and I was humbled to do it, and really honored to be on stage with some of America's greatest men and women. Dave Bellavia down there doing house-to-house fighting, Joni Ernst, Lieutenant Colonel, retired, and then Commander Zinke from SEAL Team 6. Of course, that was an honor, and the other 8 members there, Amber Smith, combat helicopter pilot. It was just an honor to do it.
Well, listen, for those of you who don't know who Jason is, first of all, you should. And of course, listeners to the show know who he is. Just, very quick background. Jason, I'm going to get the rank wrong, of course, like I always do, but I know that you have 22 years in with the Army and the Navy, background in military intelligence and diplomatic security. You've been all over the world, from Iraq to Africa to Gaza and the West Bank. Man, that's a lot of miles, man. Tell us how you developed into this basic, military badass, really, is what you are. Tell everybody how you started and how your career developed.
Oh, well, thank you. That's one of my favorite stories. I was a kid. I grew up, I thought what would be the most interesting job and the most fun I could have, and that was my heart. I wanted to jump out of planes, shoot things, blow things up. I wanted to be a commando. So I sought out to be the best I could. I loved the idea of challenge in the extreme. Started in the Navy and was really intent on being a SEAL. But really, other plans, the God had other plans for me, and I didn't make it through the program. I had a hernia, bilateral hernias at the time, so found myself in the fleet. And then I rechecked my head a little bit later, got some maturity, and went into the U.S. Army, joined the Green Berets, and trained for that, and loved it. Fell in love with the mission, the idea of going behind enemy lines and working with folks that in their own countries had the guts to take up their own fights, and then we would train with them. And from there I went into a Joint Special Operations Command where there was even more challenges and different opportunities to train and really kind of take a different role approach to the battlefield, one that was a lot more subtle, a lot more kind of soft-handed, and very much in my, we'll call it, mental heart space. So I loved every piece of it. I was very, very pleased and humbled to be allowed to kind of work in every one of those capacities. Marcus Luttrell said something last night that I feel the exact same way about. He said I want to thank you. He was thanking us as American people for letting him serve, and I feel that exact same compelling call. The United States allowed me to serve this great nation for 22 years, and then my role was to, one, do the best I could, and now to kind of pay that back in every way possible. So it's an exciting career. It's the one I wanted to do.
And the way that we got hooked up was we met at CPAC, and we were talking about veterans issues and the accountability project that you were part of with Concerned Veterans for America. And since you've moved on to bigger and better in politics, I'm sure that issue is very close to your heart as well, right?
Oh, absolutely, and it's a parallel fight, if you will. And I still advise for Concerned Veterans for America. On the road with them quite a bit. I'll be doing some events down in South Carolina and Florida, but we really do want to make sure we're holding elected officials accountable. And the only way we're going to do that is if we mobilize the populations that are most interested in veterans issues, and then we give them a channel to have their voice heard in the halls of Congress. That's been a really exciting thing. I've met some of the greatest people in this kind of industry. We'll call it legislation advocacy. I've met some of the greatest people that you could meet. Your Pete Hegseths, your Sean Parnells, heroes like Karen Vaughn.